Hello guys, this is Cesar Creates and welcome back to my channel. It is time for a new Elm Hill City Zoo video and today we'll add the new Alpine Ibex to our zoo. The Alpine Ibex was added to Planet Zoo with a new DLC, the Hero Pack, and it is a third animal from the new pack that we are adding to our zoo today. We've already built habitats for the European badger and for the fallow deer, and now it is time for an ibex. I was super excited when the ibex was added to the game because I thought that we were missing it from the very beginning. It is a very iconic zoo animal, especially here in Europe. Many zoos have them. They often have really cool exhibits in zoos. Zoos tend to, create some fake mountains or slopes for them. We already have a doll sheep, which is somehow familiar, but I feel like the ibex is like a more, iconic mountain goat to have in your zoos. So I was really happy that it was added. We had 2 ungulates added in the last update. Some people say that it is too much, but I think that it is a perfect number because we are still missing so many ungulates that are so typical for zoos. I actually wish that we had more because, as I told you guys before, the ungulates are one of the most common animals to be held in zoos because they are basically easy to manage, to keep happy. So if you are going for a realistic zoo like we are doing it here in the Elm Hill City Zoo, you should probably add a lot of ungulates because this is what makes your zoo stand out as a realistic one. Because if you will see the map of any zoo, you would see that it's not only tigers and lions and elephants, rhinos, but most of the animals are the ungulates, are the zebras, are the antelopes, are different kinds of deers, moose and things like that. Of course, we also have monkeys, we also have different kinds of birds, but the ungulates are for sure one of the biggest groups of animals that are held in zoos. So, as I told you, the ibex as a mountain goat, they often have very cool habitats in zoos, and I wanted to create a very cool one for them here in our Elm Hill City Zoo as well. Of course, this habitat had to include a slope, a mountain or something like that, and a lot of rocks because they are very good climbers. They can jump high, they can climb those very steep edges, almost like the vertical walls. So I definitely wanted to do something really cool for them that would also mimic their natural environment, and they live high up in the Alps in Europe. So this is basically what I was going for, and let me just tell you that I love this habitat. I am super happy with how it has turned out in the end. And this is right now probably one of my favorite habitats in the Elm Hill City Zoo. It is definitely in top 5 because I really am happy with how it has turned out. This is basically what I wanted to do and I was able to achieve it. And I don't sound very modest in here, but yeah, I'm very satisfied with the work that I did here, and I hope you guys will love it as well, because I think that I was able to just do what I pictured in my head, and I just went and did it, and it worked beautifully. It worked so very well. And also the thing that makes it special is the traversable area of the ibex, because it is so good, so well done in the game. I mean, they can traverse very steep walls, terrain and stuff, and they can also traverse over the rocks and the small aquatic rocks, which is amazing. So they could walk over all the different rock formations that I did for this habitat. And yeah, if you you want to go for it, do a very rocky habitat for them. I'm just super happy to announce that we can do it because it totally works, and I was super glad that it did. So the idea for this habitat was more or less inspired by the Alpine Ibex habitat in the Salzburg Zoo in Austria, but the idea of the path for the guests being like above the whole habitat and the viewing points like in between like the fake mountains, which you'll see in a minute, was inspired by some other zoo that I saw on Pinterest, and I cannot find this photo again, so I cannot tell you where it actually was, but this was inspired by a photo and on Pinterest. It was totally different, but I just thought that it was a really good idea to have like those mountains and create this whole section of the zoo for like a more themed section for the mountain animals, because in the next episode you will also see me adding one of the animals that lives in the mountains. So this is just an introduction today. And what was actually a bit funny, about my inspiration for this habitat was that I saw the video by the late designer. She recently, a couple days ago, posted a video with creating the habitat for the Alpine Ibex, and she said that it is inspired by the Salzburg Zoo in Austria. So we went for the same habitat as our inspiration. I honestly had my habitat already done by the time that I saw this video. I was missing, all the things outside of it, like all the surroundings, so the video still wasn't ready. I still didn't edit it, I still didn't have a voiceover, but it was done, and I was like, oh no, she's doing the same thing that I went for, and I hope that people won't clock me on copying her video or being not too original, but I then realized that the thing that she took exactly from this habitat in the Salzburg Zoo was the cave for the ibex and the feeder that is in the side of the cave, which was actually a very nice thing, and what actually drawn me into that habitat, into the why I decided to make it as my inspiration. But in the end, and thankfully, I decided not to use this idea because the original cave was very small, compared to the size of animals, and I thought that it will make some issues with the traversable area to make it that small for them to be able to use it. I would definitely had to use make a bigger one, which was totally fine, and she went for it, I know, and I think she did such an amazing job recreating that, but I went for something different. I didn't actually recreate that cave. I went for the general shape of this habitat and how the rocks are positioned, how the plants are, how the fences are looking, that sort of thing, more than focusing on that cave, which was actually the focal point of this entire enclosure. And I'm glad that I didn't do it, because then our enclosures would be probably very similar. I mean, even if I did the same thing, I think that she wouldn't mind, because she's a very lovely person. But I don't know if you guys would like to see, two different people building the same habitat. So that's why I am glad that we went for different things here. So let me just quickly go through all the things that I did here in this video from the very beginning. So at first we did a general shape of this habitat. I mean, I created a slope, a small mountain for the goats, for the ibex, and I did a ditch and the path over it, so that the guests will have this perfect view for the ibex. Then I went on and did the fence for the habitat. I actually used the fence that we created last time for the fallow deer, because I loved the design of this fence so much that I wanted to use it again, and I thought that, since those habitats are next to each other, it would make sense to use the similar fence for the two separate ungulates that live next to each other, basically. So I used that fence and I added like an overhang or something like that to prevent those animals from jumping over the fence. When I was looking for inspiration for this habitat, I saw that many enclosures for ibex and other mountain goats, they have very high fences, and the fences often have those overhangs to prevent any climbing, escaping and so on, because those animals are jumpers and they probably could jump on the mesh and then do another jump and escape. So that's why it is very important to secure them. Of course in the game it wouldn't work like that, but as I told you guys, we are going for a realistic zoo. That's why I wanted to do this overhang as well. I sort of adjusted this fence. It is a bit different on the sides, in the back, and also as you can see, I did similar thing near the path where the guests are looking into the habitats. This one is a bit lower, but still it has this height that it will prevent the guests from falling into the habitat, because it's quite high down there, so it might be quite dangerous if someone had a stupid idea. And also it prevents the ibex from jumping out. So yeah, I really love this fence. I love this design. I am really super glad that I found it on Pinterest and I was able to recreate that, because I think that it looks perfect for our zoo, like a typical city zoo fence. So yeah, we'll be using that a lot, I think, in the future. So as I told you, this habitat is positioned next to the fallow deers, and behind it we have a moose habitat. And I added some of the cinematic shots from the above, like a bird view, so you guys will be able to see where exactly it is positioned in the zoo, because I get a lot of those questions if I could showcase that more, because you guys would like to see more the perspective where we are actually building. So I did it in the cinematics. You can go and see where this habitat is actually positioned. We are slowly going to the end of this temperate North American European area, and I love it how it has turned out, because now we have a loop or something like that with those animals. So I will showcase it next time when we'll have the tour for sure, but this part of the zoo is coming along so nicely. I love it. And yeah, still one habitat to add in the next episode, and then I think that it will be actually finished, which is actually very exciting. When it comes to the fence, I have one thing I wanted to say, a thing that I don't like, and I would like to tell you guys about it, because I often do that. If I don't like something in Planet Zoo, I go and moan about it here on my videos. And as much as I love the mesh pieces, as much as they are versatile, you can use them for so many things, and this is what we asked for a very long time, I hate it when you have to edit the piece, move it somewhere, because it is so hard to click. You click on the thing that is half a meter from the mesh piece, and the game automatically chooses you clicked on the mesh piece, which is so annoying, because if you see those fences, they have a lot of those small metal pieces, iron pieces, this Mark Q, Mark A or something, I don't actually know how to pronounce that one, but this is such an amazing piece actually. But as you can see, there are a lot of pieces that are included in those fences, and moving and clicking on one of them is such a nightmare, because every time I try to click one of those metal pieces, the game chooses to highlight the mesh piece, which I'm not clicking on. And this was so frustrating here, because I had to do a lot of adjustment of those fences, and this annoyed me so much. So yeah, this is what I wanted to tell you guys. I think that it should be fixed, because it can be very annoying if you want to see some detailed work with those mesh pieces. And yeah, I hope that it will be fixed in the future because I was so angry while doing it. So as you guys can see on the screen, we actually did some progress while I was talking in our enclosure. So I did like a general shape of the shelter for our Ibex that will also serve as shelter for our next animal that we'll add in the next episode. But more on that in a minute. I did those mountains, fake mountains that I told you guys about that are like incorporated in the path that create this, mountainy themed look for this habitat. This is what I was going for. And I started to work on the rock work inside of this habitat. I did actually a lot of it, as you can see on the screen. And yeah, this was a lot of work, but this was what made this habitat look so special, come to life. I love the rock formations here. Let me just tell you once more that Planet Zoo has such an amazing rocks. They did such an amazing job like creating those rocks. I think they are so appreciated. Because you can do some crazy stuff with those rocks and they always look good. They make everything come alive, they make everything look so realistic, and you can do those crazy rock formations with them like I did here. It was a lot of work, it took a lot of time, but I think it was totally worth it. And my tip for the realistic like rock work, rock formations and so on is choosing the right angle of the sun in the game. As you can see and know, you can change the position of the sun by changing the hours so the sun moves. And when you do those rock formation, you should actually make a bit of shadows over your rocks. And right away it is so much easier because you see all of those crevices, those spaces between them, and it makes the things so much easier to match the rocks together, to put them in the right angles, in the right positions and so on, so it all looks good. When you do it in the full sun, you lose those shapes, you lose those small details and so on, because basically the sun is so strong that it all blends together. But when you add shadows, it's so much easier. Let me tell you guys, like, try to do it if you are struggling with your rock works, and I can tell you already that it will change your life in this game. Really, because yeah, it makes it so much easier. Maybe it took a bit of time here because of how many rocks were here in this habitat, like added here, but it was so easy to do. Like, I just knew what rocks work together and I was just adding them, like, looking how it was, like listening to the music, like without thinking, adding them and creating those very wonderful, in my opinion, rock formations. So yeah, definitely try this trick. Like in all of my videos, after the rocks are added to the habitat, we start to add plants. So here I didn't want to go too over the top with the plants, because I still wanted to keep this like very rocky, mountainy like feeling to this habitat. And also we deal with ungulates here who eats leaves, who eats plants. So I didn't have like a chance to add a lot of them to keep this habitats realistic, because I knew that like in real life the animals would probably eat those plants. So I added some trees, I added a lot of dead trees actually and branches, as you will see it on the later stage. And I added some like creeping plants, some like grasses, and some smaller plants, just to have some here, just to pretend that those grew over the time, that the animals weren't like, they didn't like them, for example, or didn't have a chance to eat still, because there are some weeds that grow very fast and so on. But typically and generally, I should say, there won't be a lot of plants here in this habitat. The plant that I am a bit obsessed with nowadays after the release of the Euro pack is the olive tree. because I think that if you sink the smaller ones into the ground, you get this really nice color of like a bush or like a moss or something that's like is so cool. It looks very like good when you like stick it somewhere in the crevices of the stones and so on. It looks really realistic and good, so I am using this plant a lot nowadays. In my last video I told you guys that I have some issues with the colors, and I probably should tell you that they weren't fixed up till this point. I am like trying to do it. I am like looking up different stuff and things and ideas on the internet. It is getting better. Actually, after recording this video, I did some adjusting and I think that now it should be fine. But in this video, I had to like adjust the colors in the editing process a bit. So that's why the colors might look a bit like different, a bit weird. I hope you guys don't mind, but in our next episode everything should be fine. I hope so. This is because you know, I got a new monitor and now I have two, so I am a professional right now. I have two monitors like all of the streamers and YouTubers. Later I had only one, and the new monitor which I wanted to use for the game, for playing, because it is a very good like gaming monitor with that is just made for gaming. I mean, and the game actually looks super good on it. I love how it looks, so I want to continue using it for playing. But the issue is that I record what I basically see on that screen, and then I play the video that I just recorded, for example, on my laptop, so on another screen, and the colors are just not it. They're just washed out or look totally different, so I had to do a bit of adjusting because like calibration and stuff like that. I am not like this computer guy, IT or anything, so it was a bit of a struggle for me, but I hope that we'll be able to you know, fix it and make the content look the best that I can, because I liked the colors in my previous videos. So in worst case, if I won't be able to fix it, I will use my older monitor for playing and the other one for, you know, stuff that just happens in the background. But I really wouldn't like to do it because I love what I see right now in front of my eyes, and then it comes out bad on other devices, and this is totally weird. But yeah, I hope that I'll be able to fix that. So as you guys can see right now on the screen, I started to work on the shelter for the Alpine Ibex that will serve as a shelter for another animal, another like climbing mountain animal. I won't tell you maybe what it will be, but it's not very hard to figure out at this point, I think. But yeah, we'll have two animals living in here, so you can expect me finishing that shelter in the next episode actually. But yeah, it was actually inspired by the shelter for the Alpine Ibex in the Netherlands Zoo in Amsterdam. I mean, I got like a general idea what I want to do, especially like the facade of the building, like the outside decoration and so on. But in the real like life form, it is so much smaller, it is very tiny, and here obviously I wanted to have a big building for many animals with you know, all the traversable area in mind. So it is a bit big, but I still like it. The original building has bricks outside, and this is what I loved at the beginning, but then after adding the bricks, it sort of like didn't work for me, like compared to this mountainy you know, look of this habitat. Like the bricks just didn't like match the whole habitat, so I actually changed that into the painted bricks, and I chose like this grayish brownish color, and I really like it at the end. And I added a lot of different kind of wooden beams to create like this decoration around the building, and I think that it looks really cool. And I also used like a bolts, like those small metal pieces that were supposed to create fences or something as bolts, and I think that it looks really cool. I also of course used a lot of those new decals on the walls. They just are perfect for shelters. They give like this a bit worn out, a bit older vibe to the buildings, and I just love it. So that's why I added a lot of them here and also on the inside, as you'll be seeing in a minute. So, since this is our first Planet Zoo video of the 2022, I just wanted to share with you guys some plans for my channel for this year. And the plans are basically, to record the videos, to make more and more of them, to make them better, to, learn new things about editing, learn new things about, voiceovers and so on. I'm still learning when it comes to all of that, and I'm getting better and better, but I still would love to learn. So this is what I'm really focusing on. Also, I have this dream and this plan, but I don't know if it will be possible, because looking at it, it seems impossible. But I would love to finish the Elm Hill City Zoo this year. And yeah, this would probably require me to upload a lot of new videos this year, because we have so many plans for this zoo. I think it is like half done, but maybe we will be able to. I would love it. I would love to do like a big tour on at the end of the year or something to showcase the entire zoo. But yeah, I would love to finish that this year and focus on the new zoo, start something new. I don't want to start, because I from time to time think about starting a new zoo, but then I just tell to myself that you have already two big projects, the Elm Hill City Zoo and the Desert Adventure Park, and probably you should focus on them and finish them first, because if I will start another one, I would never finish those two, because it would just, be too much for me. So I would rather like go and finish those two. I would like to finish the Elm Hill City Zoo that year. We'll see about the Desert Adventure Park, because it is still so much things to add to the zoo. I already am like working on a new episode right now as I speak, and the new episode will be out soon, but then we will have a lot of very detailed and big builds in this zoo, so the episodes will be very like demanding. Also here in the Elm Hill City Zoo, we have a lot of those big projects that I want to do, and I want to do them this year. So for example, the reptile house, for example, the tropical house that I wanted to add, like a primate house, like an African section, like a big cat house. So yeah, this is a lot, and they are all big projects. So I hope that we'll be able to do it this year. This is my goal for this year. I know that there will be probably more DLCs coming out, so they will make it harder for me actually, because every time new animals are added, I want to build for them, I want to add them to the zoo. So yeah, we will see, but this is the goal, and this is what I'm focusing on to finish the Elm Hill City Zoo that year, and we'll see if that will be possible. So right now you can see me doing the interior of the shelter with all of the backstage things. I won't include all of the footage of it because I didn't want to make this video too long, and this was actually a lot of work, like adjusting all those beams, those metal beams and the mesh pieces to make those stalls for the animals. I'll just show you how I started, and then we will skip and I will show you like the finished project. And of course course, you'll be able to see the entire backstage area in the cinematic shots by the end of this video. Also, a little like tip, a little something very cool that I learned from the video, actually from the series of Zoo and Leader. I don't know if you've seen this zoo, but they did like a Polish inspired like natural reserve series, where all the like builds are actually a little masterpieces. I am blown away by this series and I love it. And then from this video I learned that you can actually use the cameras that you put in the habitats to see this, you know, night view and so on. They were added with, I think, the Africa pack to the game, and if you turn them around you get this like thing that looks exactly like a hinge that is perfect for bigger gates, bigger doors and so on. So I used it here and I will be using it a lot in the future because I love how realistic actually that looks. And yeah, this is something that I learned, and actually I learned a lot from those videos, so if you haven't seen them, definitely go and check them out. I didn't have a chance to speak about the Alpine Ibex still in the video, so let me just tell you that I love it so much. It's sort of grown on me because at first I thought that it looks a bit like too cartoony a bit or something like that, but now I really enjoy it, and it has those cool like color variants. I really enjoy the color variants. I think that it is a very nice addition. I always enjoy color variants when they are more like visible on animals, because then your animals get a bit of those like personality, you know, you can distinguish one from another and so on, and I think this is so cool. And also, as I told you guys, I love how good they are at climbing, at traversing and so on. So they are very like perfect animals if you want to build some crazy climbing structures, and maybe not structures, but you know, rock formations and things like that. Unfortunately, because of the shape of this habitat, that it's not basically flat, I couldn't use this goat mountain enrichment, because every time I tried to add it, it like destroyed completely all the things that I did with the terrain. It has like this wide range of terrain that it flattens around it, so I didn't have a chance to use it. I think that I will add it when we will add the Ibex to the franchise series. By the way, franchise series is totally like not finished because I get a lot of questions about it. We'll have new videos coming out soon, and for sure one of the videos will include the Ibex, because I would like to build something more for them because I enjoy them very much, and in there we'll for sure add the mountain goats enrichment item, or however it is called. So as you can see, we also added like a holding pen behind the whole habitat. The reason is the same as always, so it is a pen where the animals can be separated if there's a need. If there's, for example, a mother with a small child that was just born, or if there are some fights, or if one of them is sick, the zoo has the chance to separate that. And this is something very realistic, because most of the zoos and, you know, enclosures in zoos, they have those like smaller pens where the animals can be held. Behind the shelter, I will use the very cool like floor design. This thing I learned from one of Leaf's videos, where he like shared some inspiration on how to use you know, the pieces from the Euro pack in different ways, and this was just a tons of inspiration for me, and this is what I took from his video, and I think that this like floor texture is just perfect, and I will use it a lot in my future videos. So if you haven't watched that video, definitely go and do so, because as I told you guys, he showed like so many cool ideas that I will use a lot of them probably in the future, and I hope he doesn't mind. Okay guys, so our video is slowly coming to an end, and unfortunately I didn't have any time to, share with you any fun facts about the Alpine Ibex, but maybe somewhere in the future when we'll build another habitat for it, I will have more time. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this habitat as much as I did, because as I told you guys, I just love it. If you loved it as much as me, please consider to subscribe to my channel. This would mean a world to me. This would help my little channel to grow. So if you would like to do it, please click the subscribe button down below. And if you are already a subscriber, thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up down below, ring the bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video, and also if you enjoyed it, comment down below, tell me how much you loved it, what you loved the most about the habitat, what you like to see in the Elm Hill City Zoo. If you enjoyed the Alpine Ibex, I would love to hear all your thoughts about the habitat and the game and the Ibex and the future of the Elm Hill City Zoo in general, so share it with me. Okay guys, this is all that I have. Thank you so much for all the support, and see you in the next one. Bye guys!